Stunning new developments coming in fast and furious in the search for missing Florida girl Haleigh Cummings. Now the story has crossed state borders. Police today question Misty Crosland's cousin, now referred to as Joe, hundreds of miles away in Tennessee. Reports suggest that it was this cousin who got into a fight with Father Ron Cummings hours before little Haleigh disappeared, and that he had taken off to Tennessee afterwards. All this made more compelling by a tip that a girl matching Haleigh's description was seen in a Knoxville, Tennessee Carrabba's restaurant in a red Toyota RAV4 with Florida license plates, and that her face was shielded by a man. Haleigh's family held a news conference today and answered the many questions about this mysterious cousin Joe, who Misty says she doesn't trust.
If Misty don't trust him?
We don't either.
Why don't you trust him?
Well, from the newspaper clips that we have and what we've heard, he might not be a very good person for Haleigh to be with. We're just hoping that if he does know something, that he tells someone so we can bring her home safely.
Do you feel comfortable with this man you consider potentially a pedophile in a home with Haleigh? He was in that home at one point.
You know, you trust your friends and your family to bring in people that you can trust. He did not carry a sign that says, I'm a sexual offender, I'm going to steal your child. He carried nothing like that. As far as the cousin, I mean, Ronald wants Haleigh home, and he doesn't care, you know, who has her, how they got her, he wants her home.
Also in the mix, a car impounded and a sex offender at large. Could any of this lead to a major break in the case? I want to go straight to my expert panel to examine all the various leads. Don Clark, former special agent in charge, Houston FBI, and Drew Findling, Atlanta criminal defense attorney, plus Lisa Bloom, anchor on the Legal Network In Session, and TJ Hart, program and news director at WSKY 97.3 FM on the scene. TJ, what is the very latest, particularly as regards this Joe person?
This Joe person has become a person of interest. We've been hearing lots about a man who may be a relative up until late yesterday, who lives in Tennessee and who may have been here during the time frame where young Haleigh disappeared. Now, he has a name. He goes by Joe. At least that's how he's being identified today. Misty Crosland was on morning television today, and she spoke a bit about this character, Joe, this cousin, and she said she doesn't trust him. She doesn't trust him at all, doesn't think he's a good person.
Is there any confirmation that he indeed has some kind of record as a pedophile? Because that's what the family was referring to in the news conference.
That's the suggestion that's being made, and that's the lead that we've been following for a couple of days now. One, who is this cousin? What is this person's full name? What is his age? And I've been looking through the sexual predator registries on just what I have, and of course, you're not going to get much with what I've told you already. But in the press conference yesterday at 3 o'clock with Putnam County Sheriff Jeff Hardy, he said, I'm not going to answer that question.
Bloom, this is such scary information, and then you dovetail it with this tip about a child that looks like Haleigh being spotted at a restaurant with a white male and, according to some reports, a mystery woman as well. And my thought is, why didn't we know about this a long time ago? I mean, if this guy had a fight with the father of this missing child, wouldn't that be the very first person they would go to find, since he would have some kind of motive?
Jane, you are putting your finger on the most important development in the case over the past couple of weeks, and that is Misty, 17 years old, having the presence of mind to say on television, you know what, I don't trust this guy. I don't trust my cousin. You would expect her to say, well, he's my family member. I'm sure everything's fine. She doesn't say that, and we know that when a child is missing, it's about a 95% chance that somebody in the family or somebody she knew is the one who abducted her. It's a stranger abductions that get all of the attention, but usually it's a family member or somebody who knows her. So I agree with you. Look, I'm sure Misty knows her cousin's real name and that doesn't just call him by Joe. I'm sure she knows where he lives. And I hope that she's given that information to the police and they are following this as closely as you are, because this is a very significant development. I'm just wondering, we're in day 11 now, why this didn't happen sooner. New reports suggest that it was Misty's cousin Joe who was fighting with Haleigh's dad Ron the night before she disappeared. But when asked about that fight yesterday, here's what Ron had to say.
There was no fight with no cousin over a gun. I don't know where people were getting information from, but you know, people say a lot of things and they don't know what they're talking about.
So that you didn't have an altercation with anybody, verbally, physically at all before?
Man, I don't have any enemies.
But that report came from a relative, Don Clark. Now, if this fight, in fact, did occur, wouldn't it be in the father's best interest to come clean about it immediately to help police? I mean, wouldn't he want to say to the cops, check this guy out, I got into a fight right before Haleigh disappeared, and he might be seeking revenge?
Absolutely. You know, the two adults involved here, number one, the young lady who was there, that person has to be continually talked to, in my opinion, if her defense attorney is going to allow it, or hopefully the defense attorney would allow it, but also the father, too. You know, they can't be playing these games that this is a good person, that's a good person. The key is here, let's get the information that's going to give the police some leads to try to find this little girl. And it doesn't make any difference about whether this was a good person or not. If there's an issue there, let's spell it out right now.
TJ Hart, was this cousin at the trailer hours before little Haleigh disappeared? Because I remember a week ago hearing that there was an air conditioning repairman there. He had been questioned and cleared. And there was also a report at the same time, I can't remember the source, that Misty's cousin had stopped by the trailer earlier with some of her nephews. Is this the same person, this Joe? Because that would explain everything. I mean, it could account for how this door was mysteriously open that was supposed to be locked. If somebody's in a trailer, they can unlock the door when nobody's looking.
Well, Jane, this right now is having this person of interest, Joe, as he's being referred to, being in this area, this tight little area, during the time of the disappearance. But no one has said anything about cousins, and no one has said anything about nephews, rather, at the time. This is something I've not been able to confirm at this point, but it is something that my other reporters are working on.
Well, girlfriend Misty was re-questioned yesterday and was reportedly at the sheriff's office for 5 hours. Misty was also asked on the Today Show about finding the pink shirt that Haleigh was supposedly wearing when she disappeared. This was her response.
I was looking by the dirty clothes for the clothes that she was wearing earlier that day for school, and I found that shirt and I showed the detectives. If I was hiding something, why would I show the cops the shirt?
Lisa Bloom, another part of this puzzle is that there have been inconsistencies in Misty's story. There were various stories about where she was sleeping vis-a-vis the two kids, and there were some claims, according to one tip, that she left the trailer that night, possibly after the kids went to sleep. So
right.
I'm starting to see a picture. It's almost like a portrait is sort of emerging of what possibly could have happened if this cousin had been in the trailer home and then had gotten either unlocked a door or had gotten into a fight and then had come in there, and then she puts the kids to sleep, then she leaves, then he could come in and possibly take the child.
Right, and the pink shirt is very intriguing. I believe Misty. There's something about her that I find credible, and she says, I'm the one who showed the police, look, here's the pink shirt that I told you that she took off in. I mean, so I think she's right. It's hard to imagine she would have called that to their attention if she did something wrong. What does sound like, and she's very certain that Haleigh was wearing that shirt the last time she saw her, is that somebody came in, removed the shirt and maybe other clothing from Haleigh, put other clothing on her, wrapped her in a blanket, and abducted her. That may be what happened, because it is very strange to think that her shirt ends up in the dirty laundry, the same shirt that she went to bed in.
And Lisa, precisely to your point, all of that couldn't happen while Misty was asleep. And I think that why she's being questioned over and over again is not that I don't think anybody believes that she was complicit in anything that happened to this child, but it's more like a case of, was she negligent?
Wait a second. Why couldn't it happen when she's asleep? Somebody comes in and threatens that child. Shh, don't tell. Maybe they have a weapon, they have a gun, they're threatening. I mean, children are abused and taken all the time, and there's not a peep out of them. It's very easy to intimidate a 5-year-old.
Well, the reason I say that, and TJ Hart, clarify please, is that people are saying that this is a double-wide trailer. It's squeaky. The previous tenant said you can't do anything without it making a lot of noise, and that this is not something that could have happened without somebody noticing, especially if the child's changing clothes now.
That's absolutely true. We spoke with Dr. Smallwood. He's now a minister up in Claxton, Georgia. He was describing the double wide trailer that he lived in with his family, and he said unless they did some major repairs on it, it is pretty darn squeaky. You can hear anybody moving about the house.
Okay, we got to go, but just one final little detail. An army of investigators searching the woods today, 200 yards behind the home. We know this story is going somewhere. I pray that this little girl is still alive.